Now, speaking of capitalism and reaching limits, I back in the day I did stand-up comedy in college, and I used to do a routine about companies branding themselves. So one was the idea of companies running brand campaigns protesting themselves for their own labor abuses, and I also did some jokes about, and this goes back, I think probably it was like 10, 15 years ago or something. There were these Apple campaigns where it was the Think Different campaign, and it would be Gandhi at a spinning wheel, Dylan looking profound while he composed a piece of music. I think it was also John Lennon. There was a couple of other iconic cultural figures. And the notion was that if you bought an Apple product, you were somehow tapping into this brand identity. Naomi Klein, wrote a great book on this in the 90s called No Logo, where she talked about sort of late stage capitalism and building a self identity through a brand identity, because all these other categories of being a person and community and so on was stripped away in a society that had been completely taken over by the market. Thomas Frank also wrote One Market Under God. He explored some of these same themes.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I think that's his first book, actually. In many ways, I like all of Frank's books, but that might be my favorite of his book, actually. I think that was because I think he founded the Baffler, and so that was sort of their first stuff in the late '90s. It was this kind of like anti-globalization, but also a lot of interest in things like branding.
Oh, okay. You said Thomas Frank. I thought you said Thomas Friedman.
Oh no, Thomas Friedman did not write that.
Okay, I misheard.
No, Thomas Friedman wrote God is a quadrangle, how a flattening world means God is in your pocket and it's an iPhone on a plane or some shit. I don't know. So some nonsense, some globaloni bullshit. So actually, I think Thomas Friedman would approve of this ad. This is from last night's Super Bowl. The Ram truck. I don't even know how to describe this. This is just unbelievably tasteless. Check it out.
If you want to be important, wonderful. If you want to be recognized, wonderful. If you want to be great, wonderful. But recognize that he who is greatest among you shall be your servant. That's a new definition of greatness. By giving that definition of greatness, it means that everybody can be great. You don't have to know about Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know the theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics in physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace. Soul generated by love.
So if you're just listening, you actually got to hear at least partially a clip of an unbelievable piece of speech making by MLK Jr. I got to say, before we get into the broader critique of this, this points to a problem. People have complained about it for a long time. The King family is garbage with his legacy. And look, I obviously, he's one of America's most important figures. He was a murdered, assassinated icon for every form of justice. They should be taken care of. They should live the legacy. But they have turned it into, they treat his legacy like it's Mickey Mouse. And it's disgusting. And as Will Menaker pointed out on Twitter, he said the movie, and this is true, the movie Selma had to write original speeches for MLK to say because his family wouldn't license his words and recording to them. Glad they finally found a good brand partner in Dodge Ram trucks that will honor his legacy. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that a brand would reduce his speech to that. It's disgusting that the family would license and uses his legacy in this way and not as a natural cultural commons, which is, of course, what he is. And look, I think at least we're at the point where this is both so audacious and absurd to take a speech that is saying you have access to greatness and capacity with you through your humanity, and therefore you can contribute and do great things no matter what your station in life, is translated to, if you buy a Ram truck, you are part of greatness, whether it's athletic excellence or saving people from burning buildings or being connected directly with one of the greatest American leaders in our history to his legacy. Obviously, brands have pushed their association with desirable human traits to the max before. This is a total escalation, and it's insane. I mean, it makes the Apple ads look sort of safe and sort of careful. I do think, though, you can see also some of that cultural growth in, like, the pushback to this has been so broad. This wasn't just like, the lefties and the irony bro. It wasn't just like the people like us were just like, oh, really? This one was like people were immediately making remixes and mocking it. I don't know. I mean, maybe Ram knows who they're playing to and the campaign will work. But I think there was a large cultural marker of like, are you serious?
Well, it's interesting, too, because I remember seeing earlier in the game that they had a commercial where it was just like Vikings. And it was like very, very white people.
Right.
And I'm wondering if like, oh, maybe we got to couch this with some like soaring, like multicultural rhetoric
Nailed
or something.
The King Estate has released a statement. They said, following the backlash, the King Estate said in a statement that it had reviewed the ad before it aired to make sure it met its standards and, quote, found that this overall message of the ad embodied Dr. King's philosophy that true greatness is achieved by serving others. Thus, we decided to be part of Ram's Built to Serve Super Bowl program.
That fiat money is good, folks.
If you can buy a Ram truck, then you can participate. 4x4. Global warming, fuck that. It's a Chinese hoax. I'm trying to get this cash money, motherfuckers. People have a problem in my state using my words for a Ram ad. Well, it's like you can't say anything anymore on TV or elsewhere, Joe. People are joining the alt-right because my words won't be used for Ram ads.
You don't like my Ram? You can grab my truck nuts.
I have a clear message for them. Suck on this. Everybody can be a servant leader. You just got to get a good pre-financing plan. I actually hear that getting a car used to be like getting a house before the bubble. You probably don't even need to qualify.
Head down to your dealership today.
Head down to your dealership today. Hey, here's an idea, fellas. Remember how Volkswagen lied that it had clean diesel and really it was just a scam system to beat the regulators? Why don't you tell everybody that Ram trucks run on hydrogen? It'll take them years to find out. And you can get some dumb hippie saps to buy it. Oh, that's not your core marketing demo? Oh, well, you need something for your core marketing demo. Let me try this. Black people, stop complaining. Turn off the rap music. What's with this hatred for Mr. Trump? He's not racist. He's racial. Omarosa explained it.
Hopefully we don't get sued by the King family.
I don't. Hey, none of this is original language. When they reviewed Selma, and they were just like, no, I don't think that this fits with Dr. King's core values. The film Selma does not match with. That doesn't work. But the Dodge Ram ad, that's what he was about. Capitalism's a hell of a drug.
So Nathan Robinson put together what Martin Luther King actually believed about commercials.
Oh, okay. Let's check this out. This is Nathan Robinson of Current Affairs.
The presence of this instinct explains why we are so often taken by advertisers. You know, those gentlemen of massive verbal persuasion And they have a way of saying things to you that kind of gets you in the bind. In order to be a man of distinction, you must drink this whiskey. In order to make your neighbors envious, you must drive this type of car. In order to be lovely to love, you must wear this kind of lipstick or this kind of perfume. And you know, before you know it, you're just buying that stuff. And I've got to drive this car because it's something about this car that makes my car a little better than my neighbor's car. And I am sad to say that the nation in which we live is the supreme culprit. And I'm going to continue to say it to America.
Every member of the King estate should just be forced to listen to that on repeat for a week.
I'm just imagining them like when Ram came to them, like, we really want to use one of your father's speeches. And then one of them was like, but, and he's like, no, don't talk about that one.
Not right.
Where he openly condemned
make
car
some
companies.
stupid money. What I meant to say was, if you don't wear this lipstick, I'm not talking to you. I'm not hollering at you, girl. Coretta better come correct. And she did. Victoria's Secret. It's the only brand for loving. Dodge Ram, service, Nike athleticism. All-terrain vehicles. Apples for the creative. You can literally establish your entire identity through brand associations. Nothing else is required.